Hey, Dan Meyer here, and today we're going to talk about market analysis. We're going to talk about the key points in constructing a market analysis. Now, this is something that's really, really important. A lot of us don't do the best job at understanding our market. We kind of get an idea of what we're going to do, who we're going to sell to, what we're going to sell, what we're going to price it for. We go off a lot of this stuff based on what we think makes sense. But to be able to really validate our assumptions, to make sure that what we think is actually the truth, we need to really do a lot of analysis. And we need to take time to study and understand the market and its conditions, right? This is really some lessons that you need to be able to lessen the risk and get ready for challenges, right? So there's some things I'm going to share with you, things that I've learned through my time at Wells Fargo, where I spent about 15 years predominantly doing market analysis, looking at the data, understanding all the demographics and geographics and every data point that we could find to help us figure out what product to offer in what region to what demographic, what were the ways we should price things so that we're competitive in the marketplace, where are opportunities to do new expansions, where are things that we're doing where we could improve to have a more efficient, more profitable service. All these things are based on lots and lots of market analysis. So I'll share with you some of my insights based on my time at Wells Fargo, as well as the last 10 years growing my own businesses, right? So I've launched several businesses, and each one of them I did a pretty deep dive market analysis before I launched it. And then after I launched it, as my business evolved, I continued to look at the market analysis to make sure that I'm on track where I want to be. So I'll talk about both those things as I go through these points. So really the first thing you want to do when you think about market analysis is study your target market. Right? Not everyone is going to be your customer, but who is? Be as specific as possible. Just right now, take out a piece of paper and jot down. Who is your perfect customer? What is their age, their gender, their occupation status, their income, the location? What are they made of? Who are they? Where do they live? Where do they work? Where do they go to school? What are the important drivers for them? Right? What makes them want to buy things? And look at the demand of what you want to offer. What is the demand like for your service? What you're going to be able to produce and give and deliver to your audience? Is how high in demand is it? And then why do people buy what you're going to buy? What are the drivers that are making them choose you, right? What is it that's going to say, hey, I want to spend my money on your stuff? And then you also want to figure out how much are they willing to spend? What kind of budget do they have? Just because somebody needs something doesn't mean they can afford it. So you want to figure out all these things about your target market. You want to build your avatar, your perfect customer, and figure out who they are, what they're made of, what they do with their money, how they approach decision making. How much money do they have to spend? All this kind of stuff. And when you have that, then you have an idea of what you're looking for. Now, I was at Wells Fargo. I did a lot of this analysis trying to figure out how do we offer our money transfer service, our remittance process that allows people to send money to loved ones overseas. It's a hyper-competitive market with some really big players. And to really understand where opportunities were at, I had to get deep into the data to figure out not just who could send, but why they send and how much do they want to send versus how much can they send. All this kind of stuff played into my ability to really understand who is our target market. When we made a marketing brochure that we would put in our stores or we would mail out to people, it had to speak to that person, right? So it's a middle-aged woman who works in domestic work, who does some kind of job where she's saving a lot of her income to send back to her family to take care of her parents, take care of her kids, her niece and nephew, whatever she needed to do. So that was our primary goal. There's a lot of men that we attracted to, but our number one customer, our top customer, were middle-aged women that were sending money to their family overseas. So all our marketing stuff focused around that perfect customer, right? So think about that for you. You also want to know your competition. Who is your competition, right? And understand what they are positioning themselves as so you can know where to position yourself as. So for example, when I launched my first business in the Philippines to be able to do analytics training, data analysis training, predominantly among all the different multinational companies that had call centers in Manila, I had to figure out how can I offer a training that I know they need, I know they can pay for, but how can I offer it in a way that differentiates myself from other types of training? Because if a company's going to spend money to train its employees, they've got a multitude of choices to choose from what they should train their employees on. So why do I make mine special? So I had to look at the competition, not just on who was doing data training, but who was doing training in general. So my goal was to become the top name brand in analytics training in the Philippines. And in addition to that, I wanted to be a top training option for everyone when they wanted to hire someone to come in and train their employees ways to upskill them, to give them more cutting edge skills with using technology, I wanted to be the person they chose, right? So I had to understand my competitors' strengths and weaknesses. I had to understand who was offering what and who was good at it and who was not so good at it, and look for opportunities where I could find where people were doing something they weren't good at that I could do better, which would allow me to offer a better solution than the market currently had. And I did this with training and doing business dashboarding. So if you've seen any of my videos on business dashboarding, you know that's kind of like one of my strong suits. I made business dashboards for Wells Fargo 20 years ago when business dashboards were first starting to come out. I was one of the first users of it. I was one of the first people to use Tableau, which is the best business dashboarding tool on the market then and still today. So understanding how to offer something that you can really specialize is important. And you do that by looking at your competitive strengths and weaknesses. What is your strength and what is your competitor's weakness? And that's your sweet spot, right? You also want to think about what makes you different. Not just can you do it better, but why should people choose you? What makes you special? Well, for me, doing analytics training, my experience, my ability to make very complicated things simple, to help people make sense of the numbers, to break down lots and lots of data into a couple bullet points that people could use to make decisions. I took everything I learned from Wells Fargo about analytics. I combined it with everything I knew from my background in education. I used to be a teacher and have a master's education, and I combined those things to make an analytics training program that was top notch. And it was something that had a lot of value, and people started signing up for it. And I had a great time doing a lot of training. I trained over 8,000 analysts, not just in the Philippines, but across several parts of Southeast Asia over the last several years. And this is something that I knew that I could do better than my competition, because I looked at what they were doing. I looked at how they were doing it, looked at what they were charging, looked at what the kind of things that they weren't doing or weren't doing well, and I found my sweet spot, right? So I went out there and I charged people money that was profitable for me, that was within the middle of the market, that would allow me to build a business out of. That's how I knew my competition. Same thing for you, right? Who is your biggest competitor, right? What is their pricing? What do they do well? How do they do everything in their business that makes them successful, makes them liked, makes them followed? Why are people following them? Why are people liking their stuff? Why are people engaging with them? And why are they not? What do people not like? Look at all that stuff. Know your competition. The next thing you should do in market analysis is be able to discuss the industry. Like, you want to be the expert, right? You want to be the talking head people come to for interview points. You want to have quotes ready. You want to have some kind of cool tips ready. You want to always have something to talk about in your niche. Be aware of the industry that you're penetrating, right? So if, for example, right now, I spend a lot of time working with small business owners and entrepreneurs who are trying to grow their business using virtual staffing. They want to hire a VA to help take off some of the things they're doing, to free them up and have somebody else do things like their social media or their video editing or their email marketing, and free them up from having to do all that work themselves. So you want to make sure that you're an expert on your topic. I did that, right? I've lived this, so I know it. Plus, I learned a lot about from the competition. I studied a lot, and most importantly, I listened to what people needed. And I started crafting solutions that fit the need. And I would do so always trying to figure out how to make myself be the expert in the room. Whenever I'm in a room with anybody about virtual staffing, I generally have more knowledge, if not as much knowledge, as anybody else in the room. That allows me to be able to speak to the industry in a way that makes me credible and makes people want to work with me, right? So understand the size of your industry, understand the movers and shakers in your industry, understand the current trends, always be reading and keeping current, following blogs, following YouTube channels, doing things to keep yourself current. I am constantly out there looking for what's new in virtual staffing. What are the new trends that are happening that would impact my ability to provide top-notch service to my clients, right? You should be able to tell somebody about your business in a matter of seconds. And you do that by not just talking about what you do or why you want to do it, but talking about the problem or the need or the demand out there in the market, and your market, your avatar, how you're going to give your top customer the service they need the way they want it, how you're going to do it so that it's competitive, where it's better than your competition, and how you're going to be able to do it and stay in the front, how you're going to know that you're always out there. So when people buy something from you, they can trust that you are always going to be on the cutting edge. This is what we want you to be able to do in your business. This is what we can help you with Sonic VA. So one thing I pride myself on is our company, we help people build more consistency in their message, to deliver more clarity in the message, and to build more certainty that the message is going to be followed up by action that is going to help somebody solve a problem, right? So Sonic VA, I founded it to help you focus on what you do best by hiring a VA to do all the rest. So whether it be data analysis, market analysis, you want someone to help you analyze the market, do research on who your target market is, and there's a lot of work that can be done to that. Just a couple examples, I have VAs that can go out and look at census data, look at small business data, look at labor department data to crunch numbers to figure out exactly where you should go to target your market, down to the zip code level. Where should you be offering your services? We also can look at social media analytics to understand which platform you should be on and when you should be pushing stuff out there and what kind of content. So if your target market basically says to us, this is who you want to market to, so let's put you on Facebook. Let's do Facebook ads in the afternoons. Let's do a lot of short videos. Let's have this kind of messaging around it that builds that consistent, clear, and certain message to your audience. So we can help you with doing things like building videos, editing videos. We can help you with graphic design work. We can help you manage your social media. You can find out more about that by going to Sonic VA, SONICVA.com. But when it comes to market analysis, you really want to dive deep into the numbers. There are massive amounts of data that you should have around you to make good decisions. When I was at Wells Fargo, I used to joke that I was a spy, that my part of my job function was to go out there and figure out what Bank of America, what Citibank, what Chase were doing when it comes to money transfers and remittances, so we could make sure that we were on the cutting edge, that we were offering a competitive price, that we were solving problems in a way nobody else was solving, and this would make it different. And it worked because we grew to be the second biggest money transfer service in the country, only behind Western Union. We passed all the other banks. We passed MoneyGram. We did that during my time based on my data analysis, among other things, of course, but that was a big driver. So what do you want to do in your business, and what kind of data do you need to be able to help you really penetrate that market effectively? That's my message for today. I hope it helped. Now, thank you for your time. Now go out there and analyze some market data.